Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing this May the 15th, 2025 noontime daily cryptocurrency XRP and the blockchain video that you've come to expect, love, need, and deserve from a channel that was built, based, and ran and created to provide truth, trust, education, and information, most importantly, to the retail trader is who we reach out and is our main audience that we're trying to give education and information with some truth and integrity because there's nobody out there in the crypto sphere, the mainstream, or the social media influencers or insiders or channels or outlets that are out there for you. That's why we're here. And Vincenzo diagnosed and sniffed out and detected first mover advantage, this pattern here, when we were sitting here going to try to make our all-time high, when we were in here rallying up, that we had a mountain double top potentially, and that we had a technical target of down here at 74,000 and change. And we marked that, showed it down here, and then we finally hit it here, and then had a big rally. And old Vincenzo thought and was two steps ahead of the criminal gangsters when the price was coming down, thinking that we could rally up here to the $90,000. But we have wicked much higher and breached two levels of major upper resistance. And now we're up here at a critical spot now to where we got to figure out, are we going to 119,289 or 286.47, or is this going to break down after three legs to the upside? But what we went over with yesterday and the day before in the videos, watch them talking about how the volume in each pump has noticeably went down. Look at where the mean of the volume was here, mean of the volume, mean of the volume. It's a step down fashion, right? So that's something that you got to pay attention to. Look at that video yesterday, and we talked about how that's significant when looking at if a price is going to reverse or not, right? And that's where we're sitting at right now. We should really have a price up here. Let's clone that. No, we're going to clone that. There we go. And we'll make that orange. Nope, that's yellow. Make it a darker orange. There we go. At that 97,208.92, there would be a quick reversal if this is a textbook prototypical. Let's focus this or we're going to get interrupted. Textbook prototypical uh bull trap. You would get very close and have a ferocious rally at the end, which you did see right here. And let's go into where are our tools at? Why do these seem to get mixed up sometimes and the tools go away? And that's what it seems to have done here again. So let's just do that. Hold on with some technical problems here. This is what happens when you're live recording. There we go. Our tools are back. Now we got to remember what we were talking about. What were we talking about? The brain fart. Oh, the ferocious rally. If we go back into the daily time frame, you can see that this rally ended where you have a ferocious rally where all within from a wick low on May the 7th all the way to May the 13th. So less than a week, we went up 13% in the Bitcoin price. And that got us to within almost from the wick high. That got us to within wick to wick 3.56% of the all-time high. Now that would be a classic reversal and a prototypical bull trap if you look it up in the playbook and how you draw it out. And before you know it, you would be back down here at the 74,000 and change with brief resistances and support levels, brief support levels on the 97,000, then on the three moving averages below it, right? So that's what we're going to watch out for to see if that's what's going on in the Bitcoin price or if this is just a build up here now and we're going to move to a new all-time high. I still believe, and I've been promoting it and I've been loud and non no mistaking with what I've been saying is I still believe these are going to break down across the board, and there are lower lows to come in that we have to still see before we have a big, massive turnaround in the next leg of the continuation of the bull run, right? So that's very important. If we look at, go into this one, no, get out of there, go into crypto. Going to the Bitcoin dominance, you can see Bitcoin dominance continued to fall yesterday, but we're having a nice return rally off of the 100-day moving average, and then now trying to use the 50-day as resistance above it. But now look at today. The altcoins have been rallying, But look at what happened today now that we had a little run, we had a little bit of a pump in the altcoins. Altcoins are down 4% in Ethereum Classic, 2.5% in XLM. But look at what's happened the last 2 days on that reversal, right? We went from our peak high in XLM, we're down about 6%. XRP, we're down about 4% today. AMP, 3% today. HBAR, 4% today. XDC, 3. ZIL, 4. Algo, 4. Dash, 4.5. XRP Healthcare, 6.2%. Solana, 2.5%. Digibyte, 4%. Right? Tezos, 4%. So you can see across the board the correlation that there is with the dominance factor and with the coins. If we get in here into the XLM price, again, the power of Jabroni Killers, and I can't stress this enough, you should become members of Jabroni Killers. I made it the industry cheap and best value of $3.99 a month. There are other ones you can use to support the channel
Vincenzo's Go
with some more fun,
Crypto Investing
but
this
you just go here, you hit the
March
join
the
button,
12th,
or if it brings you like this, oh my God, shut up.
noontime
Or if it brings you like this,
2025
I don't know why that keeps trying to turn
daily
on, but if you hit it like
cryptocurrency and
this, you hit the,
XRP video
oh my
on this
God,
late
shut
spring,
up.
mostly sunny with some high overcasts moving in with a beautiful
Wow. So I can't click up there for some reason, but this is supposed to be easy. But if it's going to do that again, I will
Vincenzo's Go
just
Crypto Investing
talk to
this
you right
March the
now. So it's going to do it again. You just hit it
12th,
right
noontime
there. Hit the at Jabroni Killer link right there.
2025 daily
3.99 a month, right?
cryptocurrency and
It's just that
XRP video.
simple. It's just that simple. You hit the join Jabroni Killers. It's in the video description and or the pinned comment. Best value, cheapest to support a channel to get that truth, trust, education, and information. And you get the first mover advantage, as we were the only station in the last max pump in November, December, January of this current bull run where we peaked out in all these coins. Every channel you went to, no matter if you were looking at the Dogecoin, the XLM, the XDC, the Algo, the Shiba Inu, the Velo, the what? Or any of these other coins, they were max pumping, max hyping, max fleecing. But old Vincenzo was here for you and gave you the first mover advantage right in here, just after the 63-cent wick, after the grayscale filing that promoted a 120% rally in 24 hours. We told you we were going to get bearish short to medium term. We told you we were coming down to the 200-day moving average. We told you there would be better buying opportunities. We told you look out for the 25.5 cents. Look out for the 200-day moving average back here when it was above that, when we were targeting up here at the 28.29 cents. We laid out the 18.5 cents. We laid out the 14 cents. We laid out not buying into the hype or the end of an expansive, massive, exuberating, quick pump to the upside, 3, 4, 5, in some cases 8, 9, 10x. You do not buy into the pump because there will always be better buying opportunities, even if the price is going to continue to move up, right? And that's what we kept promoting, and that's the first mover advantage. The reason you should be members of Jabroni Killers, the reason you can't afford not to follow this station, you can't afford not to help promote it by liking it, commenting, and sharing it to help spread our message. And look at where we've went since. We've had 3.5 months. January, February, March, April. You've had almost 5 months of better buying opportunities. And from when they were trying to max fleece you at this wick, you've had at max wick down a 68.69% fall, and you still have a 53.7% better buying opportunity than you did before. Or you could look at it from the other way. These guys were trying to fleece you after this coin went from a swing low of about 8 cents on November the 3rd. They tried getting you to buy this thing after it went up in 2.5 weeks, almost 7x, 7 times itself. But old Vincenzo, by having a cool, level headed approach to keep you educated and informed without the fleecing and heisting and shysting and preying upon, we said there would be better buying opportunities. So by just waiting 3 weeks, you could have bought it for only 2.5 times above the pre-pump instead of 6.5 times. Or if you waited 2 months, you could have got it for just 1.28 times instead of 6.5 times, right? If you would have bought it a couple of weeks ago. So by just waiting, you have that better buying opportunity and plenty of time to get that better buying opportunity. It makes a huge difference as the price moves up. If you buy something at 10 cents and it moves up 10 cents the rest of its career and the price of whatever stock or crypto you bought, you're up 100% every time the thing moves 10 cents up. Now, if you bought the same thing for 20 cents, it's got to move 100% more. You got to double that. So you need 20 cents to make 100%, right? You're at a 50% less value of making money than the person that bought it at a better price, right? So that's why that's very important when you buy things too, and when things are going to actually go way, way up, right? So that's something that's very interesting. And that's why we're here for you to give you that truth. We don't fleece you. We're not paid or bought off by mainstream or by products or coins to fleece, heist, and confuse and facilitate misdirection on the part of the retail trader and listener. We try to inform with truth and trust, right? But that's where we're at with the XLM. We're sitting just above the 25 cents. We're coming down on the 100-day moving average we wicked down to earlier this morning and overnight. We've had a freshly minted bullish cross. Barely. It's going to struggle there now the next couple days as the price comes down. We're trying to hold the 28 cents and the 50-day moving average, because if it does, this could just be a repeat of this consolidation where you consolidate and then you shoot up to the next little leg to the upside and you end up in here at about the 36, 35 cents if it has a similar consolidation. But if you break through the 50 and get on the south side of the 50, it'll help drive you back down towards that 25 cents. So we're still in the same area we've been in for the last 7 or 8 days. And you can see the daily candlesticks trading sideways, a slight pop up, consolidating sideways, a slight pop up. And we're trying to figure out where we're going in the price and the XL on price. And before we move into the XRP, we have some news here, and we like talked about the news. Wholesale price fell off a cliff in April amid trade war. The trade war, a thing that was created, uh, a problem created. Now they're acting like they've had a win and a solution by just taking the tariffs off the table. And now they're only implementing a 30% tariff on China. China's implementing a 10% tariff in retaliation on the United States, when China didn't have any tariffs on us before, and we had a 20% existing tariff from fentanyl tariffs on them. So we've essentially added 10% tariffs. Wholesale prices took their largest, but what it did do was it caused markets to correct and come down. And insiders, or people that understand and know what's going on, they were able to make trades strategically and make boatloads and tons of money and walk the fuck away with that money and leave the retail traders spinning. Wholesale prices took their largest month-to-month dive in April since the height of the coronavirus pandemic and Trump's ongoing trade war. The producer price index, a measure of wholesale inflation, declined 0.5% from March to April, the largest monthly drop since 2020, immediately following the onset of the pandemic when the global economy started a series of shutdowns. On an annual basis, the PPI rose in April to 2.4%, the lowest since September of last year. The Labor Department reported Thursday, removing the most volatile category of food and energy. The PPI declined 0.1%, but food and energy are the most vital things you need to live. So you can't really take that out and expect to have a uh, a respected and a meaningful number, right? You can't take out the two most important things and be like, oh, it's fine. Besides the two most important things that have went up crazy high, right? Economics noted profit margin contraction associated with price level decline. Over two-thirds of the decrease was due to shrinkage in margins for final demand trade services, which dropped 1.6%. The number follow recent declines in retail inflation. The consumer price index dropped 2.3% annually in April from 2.4% in March, off a recent high of 3% increase hit in June. Companies have been saying the Trump trade war will result in higher inflation, but so far these higher prices have yet to materialize, because just like most things with the economy, most things with money and finances and statistics, people don't understand. They think, bam, trade war, inflation, it's going to happen tomorrow. No, there's a lag. So if there was anything, and what has happened is there's been a slowdown in orders being purchased from the United States to buy things coming and getting shipped over from China or Europe or other parts of the world where we get most of our consumer goods. Those orders have been trimmed down because of the trade war, and they didn't know what was going on. Those take a lag, just like if you remember COVID, when they shut down the world, everything was fine for the first few months as we were consuming products that were already created, manufactured, boxed, and shipped, and everything seemed fine. But as those limited supplies of usually a month or two get wore down and the ships aren't coming in to replenish them at the same level, that's when the problems start. There's always a lag. So if the lag from this, you might not feel the prices rise for a few months. Say they settled the trade war, and this is where we're going to stay with it. The lost purchases and orders that weren't made over the last 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, and that are going to continue for the next couple of months until enough confidence, most importantly, builds back up with the major manufacturers and buyers to have the confidence that everything's under control, that they can purchase massive amounts of orders to get them to the United States to sell them in their retail stores and across the country. Um, that's going to back up and you're going to notice the shortages of those products if there is it. You're not going to notice it overnight. It takes a couple of months to work its way through the system until you start to feel the prices rise or the tightening of the products that you need to buy because they're not there. So this is something that's going to play out over the next couple of months, but it's going to be interesting. And it is always fascinating that people think, oh, they printed money, tomorrow prices are going to skyrocket. Nope, there's always a lag with inflation, whether it's a couple of month lag, a couple of year lag, there's always a lag. It's not instant, right? It's slow at first and then it accelerates at the very end. If we look at the XRP price, it's the same thing. You can see we ran up beautifully after when we held this support on 209. And again, a brief, the reason you should be members of Jabroni Killers is the first mover advantage. We diagnosed this head and shoulders, said there'd be better buying opportunity after 8x move. All the stations, if you were looking for crypto and XRP specific information, XRP, they were telling you this price again was going to be $5, $10 by now. And we corrected so far as much as $1.61. So that would have brought us 52.69% correction from wick high to wick low so far. And we told you, and it's been over a 3 month span, that this was going to happen. And nobody was seeing this until we were in here when it became obvious. Then they started talking about it. Everybody up until that point, especially during this long consolidation phase, were saying you were going to be up here $4 to $6 to $7 by the end of this year. Nobody had a 50% correction happening except old Vincenzo. Then after we came down to a target that we were talking about. You wicked down to $1.61. We said you would hold at a major support level at about the 200-day moving average, but you wicked just below it. But it was an area that we said you would hold and diagnose that first mover advantage. Then we said we would come back up and back test the neckline that it was trying to fight, hold, scratch, and claw to keep it as major support. It held it right here. And then we said the 255 major upper resistance would be your next level that you got to watch out for. And that's currently where you're at. And look at that. You had the big, beautiful wicks telling you there's heavy sell pressure leading up the couple of days running into it. Now you have a reversal candle today and a price moving to the downside. And what you're going to look at is your initial support levels are your moving averages, and then your major support level is your neckline. So this is very interesting over the next several days, the next week. Just like we've been telling you the last 6 or 7 days, this was coming. We're going to continue to follow it. We're going to continue to keep you updated. Peace and love. The Rock's Eyebrow, 72 degrees. Jay. Peace and love.